Hey everybody, it's Gordon. Welcome back to my shop. Today we're going to talk about a specific type of repair, but if you followed me at all or you've subscribed to my YouTube videos, you know that I love to work on Stanley hand planes. More specifically, I'm a hardwoods guy, so I'm looking for totes and knobs, and even more specific than that, I love the Brazilian rosewood. So there's nothing more rewarding than the history in a plane and being able to restore the original handle or tote that's made of rosewood, which is just something that's not readily available to you today. But we want to bring it back to its original beauty. If it's going to be on a shelf as a collector item, we'll do our best to restore it to what I call museum quality. If you're going to put it back into service and you're going to use the plane, then we're going to do our best again to try and hide the repair and add some structural integrity. And if you're just looking for something exotic or a little fancy and you want to add some color and zing and replace some of the dents and dings or missing parts, you'll also see some of my videos where we talk about adding some other types of materials. So the point of our video today, I'm going to be very brief, is we're going to do a repair. I have two that came in. These are a little bit larger totes. These are going to fit on the 4.5, 5, 6, 7, 8. So as you can see, we have two mounting holes. You've got the rod that goes all the way through the center and the little hole on the toe, right? So both of these are mid-body brakes, what I call a clean snap right in the middle. This guy has some contamination, and there's some surface prep that has to take place. Check out some of my earlier videos where I talk about adhesives and surface prep. We're going to save him for another day, so he's going to set aside. But this one, which I absolutely love, is also a Brazilian rosewood. It's a mid-body brake, so it's broken in the middle. And in this case, the owner wants it restored to its original dimension. So we're going to use all the original parts. We're not going to be taking any sections out or add material to it. But we also know from conversation that he wants to use this plane every day. And so I'm a little concerned about sometimes when the rosewood, depending on how well the finish is still in place and the climate and where this lives, this material will dry out and continue to dry, and it starts to become brittle, and it starts to have a structural issue. So this break can happen any number of ways, from a fall. I don't see any bruising or any indication of an impact, or just heavy use. So as I put this guy to use, if I'm pushing forward with my hand and I'm making a lot of pressure, it's not uncommon for this to crack and break, especially if there's some nicks or marks in the back. And in this case, again, a really nice break, a really good candidate to go right back together. There is a little gap right here on this side, and we're going to graft some material in and disguise that, make it go away. But what I like about this break, on the inside radius here, if you can see this in the camera, I'll rotate it a little bit. It's a nice jagged break. It's got a lot of zigzag going on in there. And I'm always trying to hide straight lines because there's nothing straight on these totes. So when you have a straight saw line or you've cut a material out and grafted something in, I always try and hide it. I love this break. All the material's there. So we're going to put him right back together. But back to the point of the video, we want to add some structural integrity to this guy. So since we have it apart and we can see the inside, I'm going to bury two carbon fiber rods right in the center of this. And I'm not going to just drill up through the bottom. So in other words, when we're done with this repair, you won't know it, but he's going to have a new spine. So what I use is a 5mm carbon fiber rod. I'm not going to get too deep into composites or talk about the materials that I'm using in this case. Let me know if you have any questions on this and I can elaborate. But I'm trying to keep this short. What we're going to do is we're just going to drill parallel to the hole that's already in there. We've got a mounting hole that goes all the way through the plane, right? So there's this guy. We got a nice straight line. And right behind that, I'm going to drill two 1/4-inch holes. I'm going to put two spines in the back of this. And then I'm going to drop this 5mm carbon fiber rod in. I'm going to shorten it, obviously. And we're going to add some integrity. So these are super strong. And the thing about carbon fiber is, unlike metal, it's it's going to be probably 25% of the weight. in 3, 4 to 10 times as strong structurally. So I don't have any concerns about being able to bend this or break it. I can't break it with my hands. And we're going to bury it in a 1/4 inch hole. So here's my little sample piece. And the reason I'm going to do this, and the reason I'm using 5mm, is that I want a little bit of wiggle room. So as you can see, when I drop this rod in here, I've got some ability to move it around a little bit. So I don't have to be super precise, and since I'm drilling 2 separate surfaces, I need to have a little bit of wiggle room. And then you'll see here later in the video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shorten this rod, I'm going to drop it in our 2 spine holes, and then I'm going to use slow cure epoxy. So I use like a 30-minute epoxy, and we're going to set him in, put it back together so that I have room and alignment in there. And then when we go to do the final bond, we'll flip it upside down, fill the other hole with epoxy, and our rod will be stuck in here. We'll put it back together. So what I don't want to do is have a hole so tight dimensionally that when I put this together, I have something like this, right? I don't want to have any misalignment. So what I'm doing is just drilling a little bit bigger hole so my spine can move around a little bit. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to put him back together, and then we'll detail the outside. Like I said, we have to do a little tiny graft over there, but there's the video. To get us started, we're going to go to the drill press. I'm going to set these up on a fixture. I'm going to go with an angle block in this case. All right, we'll do something like this. We know what the angle is, and they vary a little bit from brand to brand, but once we have our fixture set up, you'll see that this is a vertical rod. Boop, just like that. So, pop this guy up. There it is. Okay, that's how we're going to take him to the drill press, and then we're going to flip this guy over 180 degrees, and it too is going to have its own fixture. We'll drill 2 holes for the spine, we'll shorten our carbon fiber rod, and we'll put them back together. So here we go, drill press. Okay, before we go to the drill press, there is one thing that I do, and I'm going to use painter's tape to mark the axis so that I know where the original mounting hole is. We want to stay away from that. I don't want to break into it. Again, our carbon fiber rods are going to be behind and parallel to the main mounting hole. So I'm just going to set it on my bench, and I'm looking straight down on the part. And I want to come back, I'm just going to use painter's tape, and I want to come back about 1/2 inch, or right off the heel. I can use that heel as my point. And I'm not really trying to tape this together or get any perfect alignment. All I'm trying to do is establish a parallel line, and I have that now with my tape right there. So I'm going to leave that there. We're going to flip it over. And again, I'm just using this line. The line's on my bench, and I'm using the carbon fiber rod as a reference to create a straight line or an axis. Now I'm going to use another piece of tape. This would be right down the center line of the hole. We don't want that, so I'm going to back up to about here, and that's parallel. And then just get it to tack on. Just want it to stay there. Now, if I take this tape and I just cut it, again, it's not there to hold my part together. It's there as a reference line. Cut him. There's one. And then we can just cut this one. There's 2. Okay, so what that does, if we use my pencil, it creates an axis line. This is where our drill is going to be for our carbon fiber, so that hole's going to be about here. And there's the other one, and that hole's going to be about here. So if I were to draw a straight line from this point to this point, right straight across with my pencil, which you probably can't see, that's going to be our alignment. So we're going to be somewhere right in here and somewhere right in here. And there's our 2 carbon fiber holes. thing I like about hot melt glue is that it sticks really well. It holds irregular surfaces, of course, and you can peel it right off with your thumb. Unless you overkill, which sometimes I do. I put a lot on there, and then I have to resort to a pry bar or something. Something mild to pop that off. Oh. So now we have carbon fiber rods, and we're going to add a little bit of structural integrity to this guy. So this is what I was talking about, having a little bit of wiggle room. I want to be able to... Okay, so again, we have a really nice break that we can work with on this particular tote. We're keeping the Brazilian rosewood 100%. We want to add some structural integrity, so I've done my alignment. I drilled the 2 holes. We now have 2 carbon fiber rods. If I peek that up, they're inserted. I got a lot of room for wiggle, and we're going to epoxy set those with a slow cure so that they stay in place. But if I've done this right, I want a little bit of wiggle room because I want to completely encase the carbon fiber rods in epoxy so it becomes one with the rosewood. I want it to all be one solid piece. And how I know that I've got that done right is I want a little bit of rattle. I want to be able to clamp this and hold it and make sure I get a superior bond. And I don't want those rods to hold it apart. So if I put this all together and then squeeze it really tight, hold on to it, you should hear a rattle. So my carbon fiber is loose in there, which is exactly what I want. We're going to float it in, set it in slow cure epoxy, and clamp this whole guy up, and then we'll check in with him tomorrow. Well, here we are on day 2. I have to admit that I went ahead and touched this off with some 400 grit sandpaper. I wanted to look at our joint and make sure that it was as clean as possible. I think we did a really good job. As you are well aware, this rosewood tote is now sporting some carbon fiber structural inserts, and you can't tell. So we buried them on the inside. We used a slow cure epoxy, about a 30-minute set. And if I rotate this guy around, you'll see that our joint came out very, very well. The customer, the person that we're working with in this particular project, wants to do his own finish, so I'm going to let him sand the rest of it out. And as always, I try and make sure that we remove as little, if any, of the Brazilian rosewood at all. I don't want to modify the shape or the geometry here. So in this case, our bond came out very, very good. To wrap it up, what did we do? We took an existing tote, we inserted 5mm carbon fiber rods. We used a slow cure epoxy inside, so a 30-minute epoxy lets us get a good set. And then we used a 2-part epoxy to make the original bond. And I think it came out really good. So there you have it. That one's a wrap. A final comment, again, I'm going to continue to make videos, and we're going to do another mid-body repair. We do have plenty of material, plenty of projects to work with. And as a little teaser, I'm going to tell you that we are going to do some turning as well. We've got some Brazilian rosewood knobs that are going to have to be restored, and I've got one coming up. We're going to definitely shoot a video on this guy because I just love the character. It's a complete split. It's a low knob. And will we keep the original string and put it back on there? I doubt it. But hang on and stay tuned. Subscribe if you will. Give me a thumbs up and a like. And I'm here to answer questions if you have any. Post them in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to answer. Thank you very much, you guys. See you later. Bye-bye.